You are listening to episode 38 of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind Podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you are created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle Thienel. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Hello, everyone. I have such a treat for you today. It's not just going to be me on the podcast, but I am doing another interview. And today I'm bringing on Megan Mikkelsen, who is a detox living strategist. Yes, when I first heard about her and I was learning what she was up to, I immediately thought that my mamas and my listeners would really benefit for this. And the reason why is because I think that perhaps it's something that is on your all's mind, which is the health of our families, right? And, taking care of them the best we can. And this was an interesting kind of subject to explore that I haven't really gone down before, but think that I want to. And I thought that maybe some of you would too. So here is my interview with Megan Mikkelsen, and be sure to visit the show notes if you're interested in finding out more information. I'll have all of the ways you can be in contact with her there. So enjoy. Welcome, Megan, to the podcast. I am so glad you're here, and please take a moment and introduce yourself to my listeners.
Well, thank you, Danielle. I'm so excited to be here. I am Megan Mikkelsen, and I have a master's in public health, and I am a detox living strategist, and I basically help moms get over being overwhelmed with detoxing their home and all of their daily routines.
I love this. Well, first of all, I love overcoming overwhelm. It's one of the major things that I love to talk about because many of us moms are. So, and this podcast, focuses on bringing moms more peace of mind in all areas of their lives. And one area, which is of the utmost importance to them, is their health, the health Absolutely. Of themselves, the health of their families, especially their children. So what are the details of how you address this?
Yeah, so I personally have gone through it myself. And this all started when I had my first daughter. So my oldest is 14 years old. And so, she was born in 2006. So things have changed a lot since 2006. But right around that time, I was just wanted to do everything I could for her, right? I wanted to just breastfeed and cloth diaper and, just do all the things that I wanted the best health for her. With my master's in public health background, I am very health focused, and I have been for most of my life. And at that time, that's kind of around, maybe she was around 1, I learned about a toy that had been recalled because it had lead in it. And I was just floored. I could not believe that a toy that was sold in a store could have lead in it. We knew about the neurotoxins in lead and how that would impact children. And that just kind of highlighted for me how little regulation there really is in the United States. And I just started learning more and more and more. And so then I got to BPA and plastics, and I learned more about that. And so really, as I learned more about how even products that claim they are clean and safe for us to bring into our homes aren't necessarily. It's used as a marketing term, and we have to just dive in a little bit deeper. So that's kind of how I got started, and what that means for me and what I do for my clients. As I said, I help them get over the overwhelm. And yeah, there are a lot of companies that are doing the wrong thing and tricking us, but there are also companies that are doing the right thing. And so I help my clients understand how to find those companies that are doing the right thing and putting the right ingredients in products. And instead of diving into the internet and getting so lost and so confused and so worried, honestly, just so worried that they're not doing the right thing for their families. And I get them over that so that they feel confident and comfortable and they know that what they're bringing to their home is safe for their kids to be around, to use, and it's not going to have some long-term health effects that's going to, who knows what's going to happen later on.
Oh my goodness. Even just hearing you say that, my mind is going all over the place, like wondering, what's in my house that I don't know about. When you brought up the story about the toy that has lead in it, it made me recall, taking my children to the pediatrician. And that's one question they always asked. Mm-hmm. Like, do you have lead paint, or is your house, of any lead paint? So, that's just where my mind went. And then I also was thinking, like, I think I do pretty well. Like, but, for instance, I look on the shampoo bottle to see that it says paraben free, yes. Right?
Yeah.
And so then I just heard you talk about like that they mark it, right? And so do we have to question that? Like,
yeah, unfortunately we do. I'm to the point where I actually know too much information, mm-hmm. and I don't want to overwhelm your listeners because it is really overwhelming. But what I like to say too is at the same time, just start making better choices every day and you will start making progress. So we do have to be a little bit more careful than just reading the front of the label of a product. We want to turn that product around and look at the ingredient label. And it's classic. Like I remember when we call this greenwashing, is basically when a company claims that their product is green or safe or good for the environment, and it's not necessarily any of those things. And I was greenwashed, and I have a blog on my a blog post on my website before I was podcasting all about Mrs. Meyer's, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest greenwashers because, and I'll just tell you why, is their label has all these essential oils in there. But in between two of the main essential oils, like, for example, the countertop spray, it'll say geranium oil and lime oil. Essential oils, great. Essential oils are great. But in between those two ingredients is fragrance. And fragrance is a loophole in the industry where they can actually put anything they want within that term fragrance. So technically, they could sneak parabens in that term fragrance, even if it says paraben free on the front, because that paraben free part is not regulated.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. It's kind of mind blowing. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that once you realize that, you do kind of initially feel like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And also you might feel annoyed, a little bit pissed off because mm-hmm. you've been spending good money on products that aren't as safe as you think they are.
Exactly. Obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just taking in what you're saying because I do know, just how much we try hard, right, to feed our children healthy foods.
Yeah.
And then, it kind of can surmount, like, what am I missing? So if someone out there, like I am thinking myself about, oh no, like I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm not doing a good enough job or I don't know these things. What would be the first step of kind of finding out if you are?
Yeah. So I would listen to my podcast. It's called Toxin Free Talk. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I would start there is because it's like little small chunks of learning and it's not overwhelming. Or if you wanted to dive into, I have an online course also that walks you through detoxing your home, top to bottom, room by room. It's over 6 weeks. So it again, chunking it out, doing it a little bit by little so it's not so overwhelming. And then I've been working with clients one-on-one, and a lot of people just want to be told what to buy. Mm-hmm. They just like, okay, Megan, you're the expert. Just tell me exactly what to buy. So I did launch a subscription box service last fall. And that also helps people walk room by room to detox their home. So like the first box is just the laundry room, and everything to do with laundry comes in that one little box. And then the next month it moves on to everything related to dishes and dishwashing detergent and that kind of stuff. So if you're going to do it yourself, then you could listen to my podcast. But if you just want to be told what to buy, then I have it for you in my online store.
Okay, great. Now, where did you personally start? Was it right then, once you found the lead in the toy? And then what was the first move that you made?
Yeah, the first thing was the lead in the toy. And then I probably then switched to Mrs. Meyer's because it was sold in the natural section of my grocery store and I thought it was safe. And then I used that for a long time. It was actually my favorite product because it didn't leave streaks on my dark countertops. And then I learned more. And I learned about the fragrance thing, and I started, finding fragrance in almost everything that you think is probably safe.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you there. Like right now, I'm thinking, I know I must have products that have fragrance in it, but so what harm to my health is it doing to have that there that I don't know about right now?
Yeah. So I'll tell a story about my dear friend, Brooke. I had been trying to convince her for a while to get the fragrances out, laundry detergent, your daily products like your lotions, your shampoos, that sort of thing. And finally she agreed and she switched everything over completely. Now, Brooke has been a daily inhaler user since she was a kid. And she just, at first she was very adamant about not switching out her products because she really loved her fragrances. And finally she did switch them out. And within 2 weeks, she wasn't using her inhaler.
Wow.
And so, that's for somebody that has asthma and you think, well, I don't have asthma. That doesn't matter. Her asthma was being exacerbated by the fragrance in her products. That is clearly what was happening. But just because I don't necessarily have asthma, or you don't have asthma, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not causing damage to your lungs. And that potential damage is only one thing that could be happening. A lot of products have endocrine disruptors in them, which means that they harm our hormone system. And our hormone system runs our entire body, all of our organs and everything. And so that's why these endocrine disrupting chemicals end up being linked with cancer, because if they're messing with our hormone system and our organ development, then they potentially are linked with cancer. So it's pretty heavy. Yeah. I can sense that it's heavy, and I know that. And I think once you become aware, you just have to start making better choices, and you get there. You become enlightened, and you make changes, and then you're done.
That's perfect, because it sounds exactly what I do as a coach, right? The process of you could say like maybe these toxic thoughts in your mind, yep. Right? And you first need to become aware that they even exist there, that you have them. Yep. Just like you become aware of what products in your home have toxins in them. Mm-hmm. And then you have to purge it, per se. And I do this with my clients by having them do what we call thought downloads, where you're really trying to get kind of everything out on paper that's swirling around. So I would see, like in your process, right? It's about gathering all of those products so that you can take a look. Yep. Then when you take a look at your, what thoughts are going on in your mind, you then have to decide which ones are serving you and which ones are harmful. Right? Is this, am I correct? And then this is the process. You're kind of looking at the chemicals that are in the products and finding out which one.
That is exactly the process.
And then you have to decide which one you're willing to keep, right? Yep. Which is totally a choice. Yeah. Yep. To just not know and to go about the business of, But ultimately, if you are drawn to become, healthier mentally, right? That's where you would want to seek a coach. But if you also want to become healthier, like physically, for your family, then they might want to consider taking a look at these products.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know you just told me a story about Brooke, but do you have one that was someone who came to you, like, let's say they didn't even know about you yet, but they themselves were drawn to kind of have more of a toxic free, environment for their home. And then they went to Google, and you know what happens when we do that? We find all kinds of terrible, pictures and scenarios, and it has our mind swirling and then not knowing where to start.
Yeah.
So do you have kind of like a story or experience where that was, where someone came to you, and tell us how you helped them?
Yeah. So Kaylee came to me very much like this. Like, she is a vegan and she had been eating healthy for a really long time. And she just had never really realized that her products, not only could they potentially have animal products in them, which she didn't want to have or use, but also that they had these harmful ingredients in them. And back to the vegan thing, a lot of vegan products still have harmful ingredients in them because, again, that is another marketing niche. So you can't trust that something that is vegan is necessarily totally toxin-free too. So she came to me and she just started learning from me, and I walked her through this process of detoxing her home. And, initially she did feel really overwhelmed and worried. And she has a daughter, a young daughter, a 2-year-old. And she was just, like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? That feeling of worry and stress. And, we worked together, and now her home is, completely detoxed. She feels super confident. She knows now how to read an ingredient label. So if there's a new product she wants to try, she knows how to look the ingredients up and figure out if it's safe or not, if it's something that she wants to bring into her home. And again, she just has that empowered feeling and that confidence that, she's a confident consumer. And that's the other thing I talk about a lot on my podcast too, is just, every time we vote with our dollar, anytime we buy a product, we're voting with our dollar. And do we want to be supporting companies that are tricking us? Or do we want to be supporting companies that are doing the right thing, and not only for our health, but also for the earth? So, now she feels confident that she's making good choices for her family, and for the environment.
Such a good point. So can you tell my listeners, as we wrap up here, for someone who is wanting to just like get started today, maybe just the baby steps, like your best tips, if they just want to make some subtle differences that maybe you think that are subtle, but could have a profound effect on their peace of mind about being more healthy and conscious for their families?
Yeah. So first of all, what I would do is start in the laundry room. There's a reason why I chose to do my first box focused on laundry. And that's because we wear clothing on almost, a good portion of our bodies. 80 to 90% of our bodies have our clothing on them for all day long. And then we sleep in our sheets that have been washed in whatever we wash them in. And so I think it's really important to start there. Not only that, but if there's fragrance in there, you're also breathing in the fragrance that's on your clothing that comes from the laundry. And so for laundry, you want to change out your detergent. And another greenwashing example, I was at Costco, and I always just like to check and see, maybe there's a clean product here, because products are getting a lot better.
I was totally going to ask you about Costco because
yeah, I know. They have this EOS bottle that you look at it and you think, oh my gosh, that's totally going to be great, right? So I saw it and I was like, okay, I'm going to check this label. I turned it around and had fragrance in it. And I was so disappointed because I know how many people are buying that product thinking it's safe. And it just kind of makes me really sad. And I like to bring in the plastic part too. That plastic jug is probably not recycled, even if you stick it in the recycling bin. So, anytime you can move towards something that's not in a plastic, I encourage you to do that. Switch out your laundry detergent. If you're using dryer sheets, stop using dryer sheets. They are one of the most toxic things, period.
Wow.
Not only do they damage, us, but they're bad for the environment because they put off so many VOCs, volatile organic compounds, into the air when through your dryer, your vent outside. And an example of how it's bad is when you walk by somebody's house and you can tell they're doing their laundry, because that scent, that's a red flag. If we can smell it all the way at the street and they're doing their laundry in their laundry room, that's kind of evidence that it's not good for you. But dryer sheets are especially bad because they coat our clothing with those chemicals. That's what fabric softener does, is it coats your clothing to make it softer. And so again, it's just on all the things you're wearing all day long on a large majority of your body. And so you want to switch that out. A great swap is to use wool balls. They sell them a lot of places. I sell them in my shop too. And if you really want a scent, you can add some essential oils to those wool balls, and it adds a little bit of a scent to it. A lot of people, when they first ditch fragrances completely, their sense of smell actually gets even more heightened. So for me, when I smell a synthetic smell, a synthetic fragrance, I immediately can sense it. Because I really have zero synthetic fragrances in my life now, because I don't have scented candles or laundry detergent or body products or anything anymore. And now I can really smell things even better now, which is another example of how damaging those products or those chemicals really are to our bodies.
So the having the heightened smell, right? That's definitely something positive that comes out of this.
Yeah.
Tell me more, like some more obvious positive results, because I know that if my mind right now is swirling with all kinds of thoughts about, well, am I doing the right thing for my family? What products do I have? Is that going to be a whole bunch more expensive?
Yeah.
And I know that if I'm thinking those thoughts, my listeners are too.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of bringing them more peace of mind. So
right.
let's focus on, tell me the after. So you're just saying that in your home, you have the point to where you're not, that you don't have the toxins in the products in your home. So tell me all of the advantages and the good things that are happening.
Let's touch on price really quick, just because a lot of people are concerned with this.
Mm-hmm.
Some toxin-free products are going to be more expensive, but I have found that you actually use a lot less of the product because it's a higher quality. There's less fillers in it or less things in there to help make it cheaper. So it's going to last you a little bit longer. It's going to work better often, and it's just going to be, so it might be more expensive, but there's a little bit of a payout there. And there are plenty of ways to clean your home that are actually a lot less expensive, like just using vinegar or baking soda that, they're super effective, but they're also very affordable, way more affordable than buying, let's say, a toilet bowl cleaner and a shower cleaner and a countertop spray. I mean, when it comes down to it, do we really need a specific cleaning product for every cleaning purpose in our home? We really don't. That is marketing.
Back in the day, they didn't have those options.
Exactly. So that's kind of what I have to say about price. As far as other things going, and I'm thinking about who is listening and probably maybe might have little children. A lot of little children have eczema, and there are ingredients like, I can't pronounce it. It's like maybe 15 to 17 letters long, this super long chemical called methyl, da, 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 da. I call it MI, and it exacerbates eczema. And guess what? It's in a lot of hand soaps. So if you're washing your hands, and a lot of people do have eczema on their hands or extra dry skin, it's making that worse. So you might have better skin from switching out your products. I can tell you that my 14-year-old daughter has a lot less acne than her friends because she's using products that have that are better for her skin, that aren't damaging her skin. And then the makeup that she's using is also better for her skin than the typical teen's makeup routine. Trying to think of some others besides like the asthma thing, skin, and then also just that there are so many exposures that we have every day that, you know, if you had a cancer diagnosis, you would never know what exactly caused it because it's too hard to control for all those different exposures. But if we can prevent things now, who knows what our our long-term health could be. Over 90% of cancers are not genetic. And a lot of people think, I go to the doctor and they ask me if I have a history of cancer in my family. Most cancers must come from genes, and it's not true, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, this was so eye-opening and informative, and I
and a little bit scary.
Yes, I honestly there, but I do, as always, try again. What you're about is what I'm about: empowering moms, right? To see that you have it within you to, take action towards things that you want for your life to create. And maybe, some moms out there have already been grappling with this or feeling like, there's some things that they want to change within their household. And if this is one of them, then hopefully we are inspiring them to take some action so they can hurry up and get to the place where they're feeling more peace and better about the toxins in their homes. So thank you, Megan, for sharing your time with us today. And then I will have everything that you've talked about, how to gain access to you in the show notes. But is there anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to mention?
Yeah, well, just I would love it if you followed me on Instagram and Facebook. It's the Megan Mikkelsen. I have my podcast called Toxin Free Talk. It's on all the major podcast listen apps. And if you're interested in the products that I share in my shop, that's at detox.design/thebox.
Sounds good. All right. Again, thanks, Megan, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for having me.
I hope you all found that episode informative and interesting. And I also just wanted to wrap up with kind of doing the correlation that I have regarding the title of the episode, which is Detox Your Mind and Home. And just as I would equate cleaning out your home of toxic chemicals, it's the same thing, like I mentioned in the episode, that is so important that we think about doing for our internal life. It's what I work on as a coach. It's what I can help you with because it is just instrumental to your joy and balance and peace of mind in this life as we juggle our relationships, our emotional health, our time, our money, our physical health, and our spiritual practice. That we clean up and organize our internal life. You're working on your thoughts because there's thoughts in there that are also toxic, that are also very unhealthy. And you want to uncover them and become aware of them so that you can change them. And when you do, when you change your mental way of thinking, your patterns of thought, you feel better, you do better, and you just create the peace of mind, the joy, and the balance that you're looking for. So, as always, I want you to consider and invite you to coming to a free call with me. And let's just see what detoxing your mind can do for your life. Have a beautiful week. And I just want to leave you with how I know that you are worthy and loved and doing a fantastic job. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Are you ready to take everything I teach you here and put it to work for your own life? To really learn how to have peace of mind no matter what is happening around you? If so, I'd love to have you as a client. As your coach, this is where you'll get personal and focused time on your own mind using life coaching tools, concepts, and proven life-transforming wisdom, all through a faith-filled lens. To learn more about how we can work together, come on over to DanielleThienel.com. There, you'll see how to sign up for a free coaching consult and learn how to get started. Until next time, peace be with you always.